Laomi, I've been hearing this thing for a long time. This village people thing. What is village people? What is it?
Village people. Yeah, me are trying to start with violence. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Two Grown Men. My name is Olaomi, and with me, as always, is my brother Yemi, who has chosen violence tonight.
Yes.
Yemi had chosen to start today with violence. And you know what? We're here for it. So, who are village people?
Yes.
I tell you what,
is it a person, village a place, or thing, an animal, a bird?
It's your community. It's your community.
It's your community.
It's the air in your village. It's the water in your village.
Do they have that number?
And wizards in your village. It's the witches and wizards in your village. They have their own ministry. They have their own prime minister. They have their own everything. Because these village people, they seem to be very powerful. They follow you everywhere. You know, village people everywhere. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today. We're talking about paranoia, how Nigerians are just paranoid people. We're just paranoid. And he said something. He said, that's how they say is village people. I just remember what it was that he talked about now. He said, you forgetting to do something that you should have done, right? It's like you forgot to do something, you made a mistake, you forgot something. And then it comes back to roost. And you forgot that you made a mistake. Now, because you find yourself in this situation where you can't explain it, you're like, village people.
They are following you.
They have come. They are following me. They are following me. So we're talking about these dispatch riders, right? These guys that are on bicycles. So I mean, it's a big thing in Lagos now. There are guys on
Gokada and all of them, yeah.
But there are now guys on bicycles. It used to be it was motorbikes until the
used to be motorbikes, wasn't it? Yeah.
Now there are bicycles. So the way you have your Deliveroo in the UK on bicycles or whatever it is, you now have guys in bicycles in Lagos where we have no bicycle lanes. All right?
It has to be said.
Where all the guys that drive public transport are high on Paraga, Agbojedi, which contains a lot of alcohol, and Igbo, and God knows whatever other substances.
So
right?
everything mixed in one. It's a cocktail.
Everything mixed in one, all right? So last week, my wife and I were driving home late in the evening, wherever the traffic light, just around the corner from our house. Light goes green, and I'm about to move, and a guy on a bicycle comes out on the wrong side of the road, right? Facing us. He has don't forget, it's dark. He has no lights, all right? And he faces me. I'm trying to cut left across the road, and this guy's coming this way, but he's in the wrong lane. I'm looking this way, right? I'm not looking that way because that
you're
way
not supposed to be looking that way. Yes.
Yeah, guy. So and this guy comes out of this place and goes in front of me. I have to slam the brakes, and I'm shaking. Right? So I was like, I screamed, "Ow!" My wife goes, she screamed, right?
Wow.
And then she goes, "Oh my God, that would have killed this guy." All right. And then she goes, that guy will now die. Then now says his village people. Now blame his poor stepmother or some witch, some woman in his father's compound. So today we're having a conversation with my friends, and then that story came up. And you know what this crazy friend of mine said? As soon as I told him the story, he goes, and they'll say it's village people. The exact same thing my madam said is what he said. He said, that guy will blame his village people. Though. So they'll say, a mother will say, that guy said, my son went to Lagos to go and hustle. And the village people, they cast a spell on him. They fired a spiritual arrow at him and he died in a car accident. Your son was stupid and reckless with his life.
Yes.
There was no village person there unless you are saying that the village people were the ones that forced him to drive the wrong way, to ride the wrong way down the highway. This is Lake Ekpe Expressway. It's a highway. So unless you're saying that it's village people that forced your son to drive the wrong way down the highway. But my friend said village people, and we're like, see, that's the problem. When you're paranoid, right, then everything becomes attributable to somebody else. You will ascribe every problem that you have to somebody else, to some spiritual enemy, to some some force that you can't see. Whether they're witches and wizards, some people in your village people. You blame the devil. It's the devil's work. It's demons. What demons? Oga, you were drunk or high on something or the other, and you went the wrong way down a highway at night without headlamps,
alcohol,
without headlamps. God knows what that guy had, what pills or whatever that guy had taken, because they're cheap highs, right?
Yes, of course.
So who knows what cheap high this guy is on? Riding the wrong way down the highway with no headlamps. So he's facing oncoming traffic at about 9 p.m. Somebody's going to run you over, and you're going to blame your innocent stepmother, who is also dealing with her own problems. She has her own problems, though, that she's dealing with. She doesn't have time for you because she's busy dealing with her own problems. Do you understand? She's worried about her own kids, how they're going to survive. But you are blaming her for your... unless, of course, she's also paranoid. She's blaming your mom for being the village person trying to kill her, trying to hamper her children's progress. Your mom is blaming her.
So this thing is just...
It's a cycle.
It's just a cycle. It's just a cycle.
It's just vicious. It's a vicious cycle. Because you know what, Yemi? As you and I were saying, people are going through so much.
People are going through stuff.
For some reason, people are going through so much.
All right? Every single day.
Every day, something. Financial pressure. Every day. There is something every day to deal with. Every day. And when you're dealing with these things, when you can't find a rhyme or reason why life is so difficult for whatever reason, you're going to have to find something to blame or someone to blame.
So here's a question.
Right? Yeah.
Is village people our own form of mental illness?
Is our coping mechanism?
Guys,
I wouldn't say a form of mental illness, but
in the comment what you think. My question. Stew on it for a little while and tell us what you think.
That's the question. Are village people our own form of mental illness? Is that our own paranoia talking? I think on some level you're correct. I think you hit a. I think you did hit the nail on the head on some level. I also think that
why I say that is this village people thing does not respect creed, does not respect pedigree, does not respect wealth, does not respect achievement. You say those words in any gathering in Nigeria, and people immediately
understand.
They may not agree with the concept, but they fully understand it. The way you understand 1 + 1 is 2. So, and then we're now moving from paranoia to, and we've been superstitious for quite, Madam Koi, don't whistle at night. I mean, when I grew up, there were so many superstitions. If somebody crosses over you, like say you're lying down and somebody crosses over you, they're going to say that they'll tell the person, if you remember allowing me, they say you have to cross back. Yeah, because it's superstitious to cross over someone, and so many other types of superstition. And I think we've now morphed from that superstition and our superstitious beliefs in the different parts of Nigeria to a time now where we can't have this conversation without bringing Nollywood to the mix. We can't have this conversation without bringing Yoruba wood to the mix as well, because a lot of those films have an element of the supernatural. Kunle Afolayan, the respected director, I think possibly 60% of his films, I think, would be a fair shout to say has elements of the supernatural inside it, as well as other directors as well, and producers in Nollywood. So for me, for them to continue to hone on these themes for decades and decades and decades, it's our culture. We truly believe, and when I say we, I'm generalizing here because it's part of our culture now. I'm not saying every single person, but it's definitely part of our culture that when you have nothing that is tangible and is objective that you can see, to the extent that even the medical field, the doctors, when they get to a certain point that they've done the scans, they've done the checks, and they don't have where to go, they will advise some of the family members that maybe you guys should find out what's going on. Because we don't understand anymore. So this village people thing. But then you see, now the question now is, it's a blur for me, because now there are things that people will say is village people, but you can also argue that, is it that those people are also, some of those people are not also taking personal responsibility or accountability for things that, like you said, mistakes or maybe habitual patterns of behavior that is now seen as this unseen power? Or is it a mixture of both? Is it? Who is the Secretary General? Who is the Secretary General of Nigeria?
You know what?
Because it permits the legal field, politics, everything.
You know what it is?
What is
Africans have always been spiritual,
and it's not just a Nigerian thing.
First of all, let's go. Let's start. Charity begins at home. All right.
Yeah.
We've always been spiritual people. Okay. But I think mankind generally, because a lot of us are raised, especially those of us in this part of the world, where we're raised in the spiritual background. So let's start. Africans, Nigerians are generally spiritual people.
Yes.
Okay. Before the white man came, we had our traditional religions. All right. Of course. And then the white man came and gave us his Christianity. The people from the Far East came. From the Islam came. All right. So the Islamic missionaries brought Islam here. The Christian missionaries brought Christianity here. And I think what we then did was we substituted one set of beliefs for another. So people still, and look at it. Christianity still has all these things now. Christianity you have demons, principalities, and powers.
They're all in the Bible, both Old and New Testament.
They're in the Quran too. You have your jinn in the Quran. You have your.
So you can't totally discount them.
So you can't discount it. But again, something about human nature is people don't like vacuums. So if you remember your Bible stories, when the Israelites were taken out of Egypt and into the wilderness, okay,
brother,
and Moses went up to the mountain to get to report to God that I have brought your people, and to get what essentially became the 10 Commandments, right? Okay, he was gone for so long that there was a vacuum, because they saw Moses as their bridge to God, and he was gone and he didn't come back. And so they needed to create a deity, a God, a supernatural being to fill the vacuum where they thought God should be. There had to be something that they would pledge, that they would owe their gratitude to, some entity that they would approach to take their supplications to, their petitions to. When you're hopeless, when things seem lost, you cling to hope, even if you have to manufacture that hope. And so they got all their jewelry together and they created a golden calf. They created a god for themselves. And you wonder, excuse me, I saw the origin of this god. Or the man that carves an idol, a wooden idol, you carve it yourself. And then you say, this thing I just carved is the one that created the world. Or this thing I just carved is the one that's going to answer all my prayers.
But the man carved it. He carved it.
You carved it. You carved it. So how does that thing you carve suddenly have power? But if you carved it, you created it, right? And you can destroy it. In the case of the golden calf, just melts the gold. In the case of the wooden idol, burn it, bury it, you will destroy it. Put it in a den of termites, it'll be destroyed. Unless you made it with some indestructible material, then how did you forge it yourself? But it's human nature to find where there is no God, where you can't find the presence of a God, people will create one and ascribe to that entity whatever powers they feel they need to meet their specific problems. So somebody who is looking for a child carves an entity and calls it the god or goddess of fertility, hoping that that person makes them fertile and gives them a child, right? The farmer carves out something and calls this person the patron, the god of farms, or the god of the hunt if you're a hunter, or whatever it is. You know, patron saint, patron god, whatever it is, or whatever. You're basically creating something and ascribing certain powers to it. And I think people do that out of desperation. You know, when things are going well for you, you hear people say when things are going well for them, that's when they pray, that's when they're so religious and cool. Again, there's that sense that I'm so blessed. If I'm not grateful, I will lose what I have.
That's part of it.
So that's part of it. And then there's the other side of it, the desperation side of it, where things are going wrong and you need help. And so you reach out to, if you're a Christian, you'll become more religious. If you're a Muslim, if you're an animist, if you're whatever it is, you reach into whatever it is you believe in, or you learn to believe in something. Some people will change religion. Somebody will go from being an idol worshiper to being a Muslim or being a Christian because they've got this problem. Someone's told them that only God can solve your problem. Only the Christian God or the Muslim God can solve your problem. Or somebody will take you from church and say, church, you're sitting there in church. Your enemies are going to shrine, you're in church. And take you to the shrine with them.
To fight whatever that battle is.
Because you need help. If you sat in a room with Mark Zuckerberg or any of the billionaires on the planet, and you could ask for anything, most people would ask for money. Because you can't ask the guy for health. You can't ask him to give you a child. What you feel they can give you is opportunities.
Yes, opportunities.
Is what he has. He's got money. And you're not going to ask Mark Zuckerberg for a job. If you can ask for anything, why would you ask for a job? You ask for freedom, right? Can I have X million dollars? Depending on your imagination and how much you think you can get away with, you'll go from, can I ask for $1 million, $10 million, $100 million? This guy is worth 30-something billion. I can't ask for $100 million. What's that to him? You know, so you're going to ask for what you think is within the realm of possibility. When you have an entity, your God, who is almighty, omnipotent, all-knowing, you're going to ask them for that thing that ails you. This person can do all things. So if it's a child you're asking for, you're going to ask that person for a child. If you're ill, you're going to ask that person to be healed. And if your challenges are financial, you're going to ask that person for financial relief. It appears that what you are desperate for determines the place you go to, the solutions that you seek. So a hungry man is not going to go out there looking for food. Sorry, a hungry man is not going to go out there looking for clothes.
He's looking for food now because that's what he lacks.
For food, that's what he lacks. He's not. Look, if a man is really hungry and you give him a TV, his first thought is TV. Okay, can I sell this TV? He wants to monetize the TV to meet his needs. It's only after his hunger is satisfied that he's going to worry about a TV. All right? So you're desperate, you're whatever. But I think people end up, and out of desperation, look, you and I are middle-aged men. We deal with all the issues we deal with.
Yes.
We now understand this life better. that is not easy.
No.
And it's not necessarily money. There's some things that our money can't fix. Otherwise, the happiest man on the planet would be billionaires, right? Millionaires would be happy, right?
Yes.
But money is not the thing they're worried about. It's something else. Everybody's worried about something. Just the degrees of worry that differ. And I think that's where village people come in. That's where village people come in. They're convenient.
They have to come in, and they're not going anywhere.
They're convenient. It's a convenient enemy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there are no witches and wizards, though.
No, that's not what we're saying. And on the record, I'm not saying they exist.
Look,
because like you said, that even before the Bible, even before the Quran, all the historical texts, from the pyramids to the ancient archaeological texts in ancient Greece, in ancient Rome, ancient Turkey, before Ottoman Empire, etc. There are drawings, there are paintings in Italy and all these countries, parts of Africa as well, that depict what looks like you said, witches and wizards with horns, people with horns and stuff. And apart from that, allow me, people have dreams. Yeah. People have dreams, and they see things that are out of this world in those dreams. They have nightmares. They have different things that they go through, that when they wake up in their minds, and it's hard to argue with somebody who's just woken up from a nightmare or a dream to say that what they saw is what they didn't see. They can only transcribe it to the occult or to the supernatural.
Yeah.
So I think that's where village people as a concept
come into it.
Into it. And when you hear some stories about some families, and taking this conversation to the next level, when you hear about some stories and some families of how, family members have done crazy things,
evil things,
envy and jealousy and backstabbing and all sorts of things. So sometimes when they say village people, they are not just saying that, there's a witch and there's a wizard somewhere. They're saying, actually, that person who's my brother, my sister, my nephew, whatever, that person who I trusted has now gone to do X, Y, and Z to me. So those are my village people. Those are the people who, and some certain parts of some African countries, there are people who don't even like to go back to their hometowns or their home countries because of things like
this. Nigeria,
in Nigeria, because they believe that when they go there, there's something that's going to happen to them, and there's nothing you can say that will make them change their mind.
Yeah,
because of things that have happened to their parents, their grandparents, and all sorts of strange occurrences. Some people have eaten in some people's houses and things happen to them afterwards. So you can't really say that all these people are crazy, all these people are lying, all these people are making it up. There has to be some element of truth. The fact it's not happened to you, or you're lucky to be in such a family, does not absolve that it's honest, that it's true. Because that's their perspective. That's what their reality is.
You also remember that
intentionally come out to talk about these things. Like, yes, I was the one that did this, and they're like, really?
Yeah,
time and time again.
Don't forget that in Europe, in the US, 100, 200 years ago, they burnt witches on the stake, right? How many years ago?
So why did they do that? Why did
for witchcraft?
Exactly.
Whatever it is.
Happened in the UK, in England.
Yeah. Happened. I mean, they said there were Salem witch trials. There were so many things. The truth of the matter is that the world exists in the spiritual and the physical. It's not in doubt. Okay. Because before there was man. There was the spiritual existed before the physical did. Otherwise, how did we come to be? See this Big Bang theory, whatever it is. Something intelligent shaped this world. Something or someone intelligent shaped this world.
This world, yes.
The role they played, the reason why, what that entity is now, look, every religion, every culture has its origin story. whether it's the Orumela or Batala, whether it's the Christian thing, whether it's every culture has their origin story, how man came to be. But through all that, there was something in existence before man came to be. Okay, and it's not a uniquely African thing. Again, no. I'll take you back to your Bible. Okay.
Yep.
In the kingdom of Egypt, where Pharaoh is God, all right, he's God. Mm-hmm. Some riffraff that used to live in the palace, who was raised like his brother, was banished from the palace, banished from the land. The man comes back a few years later and says, those are the people that are enslaved, that are building the economy, you have to let them go. And the guy goes, you this bastard, where are you coming from? I should let my people go. I should let your people go. The slaves go. Who work in our fields? Who work here? Say, okay, who sent you? Said God. God sent you. But you know, I'm God in Egypt. Sure, you know, I'm God in this land. And you're telling me that one God somewhere sent you. Prove it to me that God sent you. Prove it. So you know what the guy does? He takes his staff and puts it on the ground, on the floor, and it becomes a snake.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something. Yes. If you're in a room, you're in your office, you're in a gathering of boys, somebody takes a stick and puts it on the floor, and that stick before your eyes turns into a snake. You know, the next chapter of that story, everybody fled. The story ends at he puts a stick on the ground and the stick became a snake. And what happened next? Nobody knows, because you know what? Everybody took off. There will be nobody in that room to tell you what happened next. No. Are you going to stay in that room? You will stay there?
No.
So here's where I'm going. All right. What does the guy do? Nobody runs. The guy said, "Is that it? One sticking to snake. Please go and find me the 3 most useless comedians in this kingdom. Go and bring them for me." This guy says he has magic. Converted his stick into a snake. Is that it? Nonsense. They're going to behead you today. I will show you today that you are nothing. Go and call me these guys. And they bring out these magicians, right? Who then convert their own sticks into snakes.
The same thing.
Magic. It was not strange to them. You hear me? It was not strange to these guys.
It was normal.
Normal. Magic was normal. See, hear me? If I enter your house, you owe me money, and I come into your house where you're sitting down, I come into a gathering and your friends are sitting. I say, you owe me money, I owe my money. And you allow me get out now. And I take my stick, or I take off my belt, I twirl it, I drop it on the ground, my belt becomes a snake. See, 2 things will happen. 1, everybody will disappear.
Party don't scatter.
But you know what happened next? People will call you and say, "Yemi, that guy, how do you know that guy? Go and pay him his money, please. Go and pay that guy." Somebody will be like, "Yemi, I will lend you the money. Go and pay that guy his money." People will gather money for you. So, about the koja year, I have not borrowed more than you can pay. People will pay that money for you. That Yemi, you're messing around with a guy that can convert his belt into a snake.
Yeah.
Yemi, is this who you are? Some guys will never play with you after that day. You hear me? This is how you roll. These are the guys you roll with. These are the guys you roll with. For real? You know what I'm saying? So it was not strange. These guys, and then you had the plagues. See, if you
the plagues
have never seen magic, and somebody turns water to blood in your very before, Yeah, man, I promise you one thing. Whatever that guy asks for, you give him.
If you've never seen magic before.
You give him. Like, guy, please. Just be going. Carry your wallet and go, please. Be going. 10 plagues. Guy made locusts appear. Boils, gnats, frogs, darkness. Ha! I will not wait for the third sign.
There were 10 in total, wasn't there?
Yeah, but when you add up the snakes, that's 11.
11, yeah.
11 signs. This guy waited for it. That's a stubborn goat. That's actually village people making him stubborn, and that's village people making him stubborn.
That's the Pharaoh, Abi.
That's village people working on Pharaoh. People I'm going to destroy you. We're going to destroy you.
We're going to make you mad.
We're going to destroy you. We're going to make you mad. All right? Should I tell you another one?
Go ahead.
King Saul, Israel's first king, decides he wants to speak to the spirit of Samuel. And he goes, find me a medium in this land. Nobody says, sir, it's not possible. It's not possible. Medium to do what? Speak to the dead. Sir, it's not possible. They found him a medium. They found a spiritualist who could talk, who could summon the spirit of the dead.
Yes. So yeah. Yeah. I've heard stories from elderly people about exactly what you said. So in Yoruba language, they call it roku. So when somebody has died untimely, there's some certain families or people in certain families that converse. They get people to converse with the dead person, and they ask that dead person, what happened to you? Yes, and the spirits, apparently, you might believe it, you might not believe it, it's up to you. Apparently, the spirit now tells them, this is exactly what happened. This is how I passed on. This is because I now know, now that I've gone to the other side, I've been fully exposed to exactly what happened. And they tell the spirit to now go back. Obviously, they are gone already, and then they now take vengeance. So yeah, we hear about these stories. I mean, but just like you said, it's not just even the it's not just the Bible. Even in the Bible, we have the witch of Endor in First Samuel, where witchcraft was condemned. In medieval Europe, like you said, it really peaked in between the 15th and 17th centuries, leading to witch hunts and executions. You talked about the Salem, witch killings, and then we've heard about it in Greece, Rome, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and sort of like in the 18th to 19th century, it started to decline, or did it? So it was decriminalized in many places, and then witchcraft was now persisting in folklore. But then you have to ask the question: has it really disappeared when America still has Halloween? UK still has Halloween. Certain people in Nigeria still practice Halloween.
That's not commercial.
It's commercial, Abi.
Halloween is commercial. That's just the way for it to sell to make money.
You think it's just money, Abi?
Oh yes, that's gonna look. The guys that sell candy.
Just money.
What does candy have to do with Halloween?
But then people are also saying even things like Harry Potter, Nollywood, like I've mentioned, and some certain comics have turned it into mainstream. So it's sort of like morphed to an extent. It has morphed into mainstream because of the commercial aspect. But in parts of Africa, India, and some other parts of the world, witchcraft accusations continue to lead to violence. So people have actually been lynched just for even being suspected of witchcrafts. Witchcraft. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. So guys, we want to know what you guys think. Do you think village people are real? Do you agree with us that they are real?
Have you ever encountered village people?
If you are the village,
encountered
if you are the village people, Tell us in the comments.
I don't want to know. Tell Yemi. Send Yemi a DM. Me. I don't want to know.
Okay, if you've had a personal encounter
somebody
with your village people, put it in the comments. Not if you're a village. If you're a village person, it's not also.
I'm not there. It's him.
Allow me, life. But this life is tough. It's tough. And without explanations, without rhyme and reason, when people have looked at every other logical way, they've corrected mistakes, they've been careful, and some things just happen. You can't really blame people for saying, is there something else? Because I've done everything. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I've done everything right. I've done the business proposal. I've done the marketing. I've got the funding. I've got everything. But why? What happened? Why is this thing not still working? Why is it not working out as I expected? And I think that's where some people now say maybe there's a higher power somewhere that is stopping this thing from happening. Or so it's strange. But even modern movies like Game of Thrones, you can see, although it's fictional, but you can even see a little bit of the occult there. Natural.
Because art imitates life. Because you draw
art
inspiration.
Life.
Because you draw inspiration from your environment. Why did William Shakespeare never write books about cars? He didn't see cars. That's a good question. He didn't see cars.
Were cars
he drew inspiration from what was no.
There were no cars.
He drew inspiration from what was around him. All right. He wrote about romance and kings and wars. Right. He wrote about usury and debt and commercial, and commercial relationships, and all that. He wrote about what he could see, what he could conceive. If you grow up in an age or in an environment where magic is key, you write books about magic. So you don't blame Nollywood for making. I grew up a lot of movies we watched on Fade Oloro and Co. If I am scarred. I don't watch many Nigerian movies for that reason, because I grew up as a child where this is where everything they showed on TV, all the Nigerian movies they showed on TV, were witches and wizards.
May I even mute? I mute when they do the incantation part.
For me, it's I just can't stomach it. So I grew up. By the time Nollywood started making Western style movies, I was already jaded. Then obviously there was all the old part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Come on, Okay. And it's taken a lot for me to come back to it. And there are some very, very amazingly talented human beings or Nigerians in Nollywood.
Yes.
Talented actors, producers, directors, writers, talented people. You cannot take away from their talent. But I grew up in an age where you grew up in that world. You hear that and you're just scarred for life by it. Because man takes inspiration from the world around him. You find someone who writes a book that's set 200 years ago. He did research. Whether you're Tolkien or you're J.R. Martin or you're any of the people that write fantasy, you do research.
Yes.
Okay? But when you're drawing on the world around you, you'll do research too, but it's different. It's the world around you.
You cannot be ahead of what has not been invented. You can have imagination, because yes, some people have imagination, yeah.
But it still comes from, you take from what is around you. So a man talking about people going to space has probably seen airplanes. And imagine, okay, airplanes fly. Okay, why not space rockets? Do you understand? I'd like to know how many books were written. Man has been flying for just over 120. But I think 1903 was when man first flew. So man has been flying for about 120 years, something like that. I would be amazed to find 200-year-old books about people going to outer space. They might exist. But I think you will find that once man had started to fly, you would unleash the part of man that could then dream about going to outer space.
Because now the art of possible now becomes likely.
Yes. So you will find more books and stories about people flying, going to outer space, because it's now within the realm of possibility. When people invented the engine, it's now possible to think about the horseless carriage. But it was the horseless carriage before it became a car. It was a horseless carriage. So it was what they knew was a carriage drawn by a horse-drawn carriage.
Yes.
And then you invented the engine. So it became a horse-drawn carriage before it became a car. So you're going from what you know to the next. So yes, you will imagine fantasy, spaceships, Star Trek and all that. But when you sit down, you're going from flight, man flying, to, and think about the leaps from the time man first took to the air to the time when man went up to outer space was 60 years.
It takes time.
60 years. It didn't take that long. 60 years to go from Orville and Wilbur Wright, the Wright brothers, from their first flight on Kitty Hawk Beach to man going to outer space, to the moon or whatever it is, was 70 years, 60, 70 years.
Even now, some people debunked it and said it didn't happen. But hey, we won't get into that on this.
We have satellites in space now. We have satellites in space. At least man can go to outer space. Otherwise, there'd be no Starlink. Okay. I won't go into whether that exists or not. There are strong cases on both sides.
For the moon stuff, yeah? Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah, there's strong arguments on both sides. I believe man went to the moon. But there are compelling arguments on both sides. And my training as an academic is to examine all arguments and
come to your own conclusion,
whether it's plausible or not. Yeah. But this village people thing we're talking about. Village people, look, it's also paranoia. You go to a party, you eat something that's contaminated, you have food poisoning. You come home and you say, they fired a spiritual arrow at me.
Well,
that was one of my friends like, just food poisoning. No, come on.
You know what my friend said to me? You know what a caterer said to me once at the Lagos party? Yemi, always make sure you go to the party early. I said, why? He said, because they don't wash the plates. They don't wash the plates. There isn't enough time. Some caterers don't wash the plates. There's not enough time. So that plate that they are putting jollof rice on has just been cleaned, sometimes just by a tissue. Now you can raise your head up now. And they just put it on it and you're eating it and God knows what mark and grime is there. But if you're one of the first people to get there, and I believe her because she's a caterer, that's what she does. She said, we outsource these things for people to come and help us wash our plates. And sometimes the orders and it's just too much. So they just bring the plates. As they're bringing the dirty plate, somebody's just literally just wiping it with, especially if water is finished, they're literally just wiping it, one clean wipe. And then you put the next set of jollof rice, fried rice and stuff. And whatever dirt that is in there, to the point that you just made about
and the cutlery, and the cutlery, and the cutlery, and the cutlery, and the cutlery. Oh my god!
So she said either that or eat before coming. Sorry, I've ruined. I hope I've not ruined anyone. If you're going to a party this weekend, two grown men just give you some tip. Go early.
Yeah, viewers.
Or just eat
we need to arrange village people for Yemi because
please
don't ruin my appetite.
I don't,
we need to call village people for Yemi.
I don't want, please.
I know your village. I know your village though. See, I'm going to your next village.
I don't want.
Next village meeting.
I don't like what I hate, please. I don't want. Okay.
Malolure.
Moko,
Malolure. I'm going to your village. I'm going to go and tell that guy.
Laume literally just thought about the 350 parties he went to in the last how many years, and he's like,
don't do that. At least I survived this. I know what about Nigeria parties.
What? Tell us.
So here's what about going early. You go early, you eat. And then if some of those parties where you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah. Because it's fun.
Small shops or serve whatever it is. You probably have another meal. Like they'll serve you lunch and they'll serve you an early dinner at this party because you're there for a few hours. Why are you telling me this? If I don't like you again. I don't like you again. My friend again.
I think that one struck a nerve because you've not recovered.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Not only does he believe me, but he knows that there's no scientific way to prove me wrong because he knows it has to be true. Yeah?
I believe it's possible.
Because you thought about it for a couple of seconds. You're like, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Please give us some love.
Like and subscribe. Come and be through stones at your please.
No, I'm a child of God.
No, but really.
Really, moving on.
But you see, so we're talking about village. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, maybe it's traumatizing me. We're talking about village people. Have you ever had an encounter with village people?
Yep. Have you
ever had an encounter? Are you want to go to the village? As your grandma told you to stop coming to the village? Is there? Look, have you ever encountered the unseen, the village people? Do they in your village? Do they use brooms? Do they travel by by air, email, whatever it is? But really, how does it? You can't actually discount these things. Because we've heard stories.
Then
people have come out and confessed. People have come out and confessed.
Yes.
A woman, one of my clients, told me a story a few years ago.
Okay.
It frightened me. And it was the classic stepmother story. My stepmother did this and that. And she goes, and a couple of decades later, the woman confessed. The woman was dying, but she was sick. She was sick.
It's always when they are dying and sick. Always.
She was sick, and for whatever reason, she confessed, I did this thing. And then she took them to the place where there was something she had tied.
They have receipts.
And she took them to a place where whatever it is, where the thing was buried. They dug it up. They prayed and did whatever rituals they had to do. And the person whom she targeted is fine now.
Really?
Yeah. Person was not doing well in life. And the woman admitted that, I cast a spell on him so that my own children could prosper.
Responsible.
And so the guy was like the family dropout.
That's sad.
So, is it a coincidence? I don't think so. These things happen. We just don't understand them. They don't make sense to us. But these things happen.
Look at the Infonaya case as well. I don't know if you're familiar with it, or we can cover it in another episode. I think we should cover. We're going to do that. We're going to do it justice. We're still doing research on it, and it's very, very harrowing. The way that man's family members, his village people, kept him in that state. Did you see the state of that man? God bless you, Infonaya. God bless you.
Funaya, God bless you.
God bless you. God bless you.
May your children look after you too.
God bless you.
May you have
Amen.
A joyous and glorious old age. May you live your life in full, and may you live, comfortable, healthy old age.
Amen. Amen.
That story was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking.
We'll cover it. We'll cover it in a session.
In a future episode. A future episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, share,
subscribe. Leave us a comment if you're affected by anything we discussed today. Leave us a comment, please. Tell us how village people have affected you. And if you're not that, if you're the catcher that's not watching, please actually don't confess, please. Confess in your midst.
And if you believe that it does not exist, we want to also hear from you. If you believe it's
whatever your opinions are,
just put it down in the comment section. We would like to hear from you.
So some things are definitely paranoia. Some things are definitely being superstitious. Like I said, the person that ate at the party and came back and said it was a spiritual attack. How? Who attacked you? In a party of 1,000 people, it was you they singled out to poison. But if you go and investigate, a few years ago, my friends and I went to the beach, ate some food. All of us were sick after. Within 30 minutes, all of us were sick. Was it a spiritual attack? All of us were sick. The only person who wasn't sick amongst us was the one person who didn't eat with us.
So wasn't the food? Was the food?
Was it spiritual people? No. But you know what? I watched something. It was a video of a minister in a Celestial Church, in the Celestial Church of Christ. And the person was saying in Yoruba, he will say that Bill Gates does not go to church. That Mark Zuckerberg doesn't go to church. Elon Musk doesn't go to church. Therefore, why should you go to church? And he said, you forget that Jeff Bezos doesn't have a stepmother. There's nobody chasing his life. It's probably one of 2 children or 3 children, if not an only child. Same thing, Mark Zuckerberg. Like that, the way we are looking at your pointing fingers that
they have no different.
There are no witches. There are no witches pursuing them. So you, there are witches pursuing you, will not pray.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's the context, right?
Yeah, that's the context.
That's the environment.
The culture.
So is it that the Igbo man has lost his spiritual powers, or that he never had them?
To start with.
Because I mean, we're told all the time that Africa is spiritual. People tell us that Africa is spiritual. There's a spirit in Africa. So is that spirit positive or negative? Where were the village people when the Igbo man was carrying slaves away? Where were the village people then? Yeah, how come the village people are not active in the abroad? Why are they only active in Nigeria?
Good question.
Why is it that when you leave Nigeria, when you leave the wala of Nepal and all that wala, suddenly stop? You're not really worried about village people anymore. Now, why is it that when you leave your village and go to the city and you don't come back to the village people don't come after you? So do you have to be in the? I guess maybe you're out of sight and out of mind, right? They don't think about you. They don't have to attack you.
Is this still happening even when the person is out? There's so many strange questions. So many strange questions.
And why are Babalaos always poor? The man you are going to go and do jazz for you to make you rich is poor. You hear me?
Yeah.
Why is that guy poor? He knows how to make money. He knows how to spirituality. Would you go to a financial guru who was broke?
No.
Would you take advice from a financial analyst or an investment banker who was broke?
No.
Why are you going to a poor man to teach you how to make money or tell you how to make money? Why didn't he use that power for himself? Because he knows the consequences. That's the convenience to tell ourselves. Who deep?
So we're gonna leave this one here, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much for watching us. It's always a pleasure. And if you want to be part of the show, by all means, send us a message, send us an email, We're 2grownmen@gmail.com. We're 2grownmen on TikTok. We're 2grownmen on Instagram. We're 2grownmen on Twitter X. We're 2grownmen. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Olami. With me is my brother Yemi. Good night.